Greetings everybody, welcome to my first attempt at making a YouTube video. This is actually my first woodworking project ever, unless you count making a shelf in junior high wood shop about a million years ago when dirt was still green. This is also my first time messing around with Lightworks, so all of this is very much an experiment for me. Welcome to the journey. If you're looking for something that's more of a help and how-to, this is probably not for you, because I'm probably going to make a million mistakes, and this is kind of just chronicling my misadventures in woodworking. There are a lot of great creators out there, the Wood Whisperer, Stumpy Nubs, too many to even to list off the top of my head. Woodworking from Immortals is good as well. If you're looking for content on how to do things, that's where you want to go. This is not where you want to be, trust me. So in this video, this will be the first part of this project, which basically is building a mobile cabinet slash stand for my jointer. This first video will just be the cuts. I know this video ran way longer than I intended it to, so I'll try to make the future one shorter. It's just I didn't see a really convenient or well placed spot to cut this off and switch over. So just bear with me, folks. Oh, and somehow at this point I got my measurements mixed up. I wound up drawing a straight line at an angle. I'm not sure what happened. Luckily, I measured 15 times and cut once, so it wound up being cut properly, but yeah, you may see me look a little confused. By the way, sorry about these camera angles. I wasn't really thinking about this when I was doing all this stuff. Also, there may be some video noise here because the light outside the garage was blowing out the video, so I had to really crank up the gamma in Lightworks, which introduced some speckly video noise. But yeah, in future videos, I'll try not to show you so much of my ass, because that seems to be where we're going here. While we're watching all this boring stuff, I'll tell you some boring stuff about me. Professionally, I'm a Linux engineer and subject matter expert for a major international tire company whose name I'm not allowed to mention on social media. I'm kind of their top Linux guy for this part of the planet. Also, on weekends, I host karaoke, which is a good time. Hopefully, at some point, once I get decent at this, I'm going to try to come up with some cool design for a fold-up, stowable kind of karaoke booth that I can kind of fold up and put out of the way at my primary venue on the weekends, to where everything's nice and secured and locked up, and then I can just fold it out and be ready to go. So, but that's way beyond my ability at this point. So we're just making a very basic cabinet. Yeah, at some point here I realized how dangerous this shortcut will be with that giant piece of plywood hanging off the side and how unstable it is. Oh yeah, and you can see me swatting bugs away. Welcome to Tennessee, where, you know, the mosquito's the state bird. Yeah, here I am remeasuring to figure out where a good spot is to cut this to where I won't like screw up my further cuts down. So I'm trying to get the two bigger pieces at the end, the two bigger pieces at that end included, along with the saw kerf. I did think of that, so didn't make that newbie mistake, but make sure to have enough sheet good there. In hindsight, I probably should have made this cut with a circular saw with a straight edge, but, you know, live and learn. Oh, another mistake I was making here was, and it was one where I knew I was making it, but I went ahead and did it anyway. I was using like a ink pen to mark on the wood. I know I should have been using a pencil, but I looked around the house, and believe it or not, I could not find a pencil anywhere. Found about 60 ink pens, no pencils. So there was some bleed on my lines, which made my cuts a little less precise than they should have been. It all worked out, though. And believe it or not, this is actually running at 200% speed. I was moving very slow and very methodically because, honestly, I've never really used almost any of these tools before. When I decided that I wanted a new hobby, because I have this bad habit of turning all of my hobbies into jobs. So, computers and Linux and all that became a job, and then karaoke became a job, and then I started writing software for karaoke, and that became a job. And it was like, there's something I'm probably not going to be very good at is woodworking, but it seems really enjoyable and really like it'd be really cool to do something and build something and have something tangible at the end that you can actually lay your hands on. Everything I do at work is so ephemeral, and so it's all just virtual. It's not real. So doing something with my hands seemed like it would be a really fun, rewarding, kind of relaxing thing to do. But because I've really never used a table saw that much, actually ever before this project. And yes, I did go out and purchase a saw stop, an expensive ass saw stop, before ever knowing whether I was even going to continue using it. But hey, that's more pressure to make things, right? That's more reason to get me out in the garage, aka shop, doing things. Yeah, being very careful to protect my lungs against a table saw, but then I'm vaping, so I don't know what to take from that. If I was gonna make this cut on the table saw, I probably should have had some kind of end-feed support instead of just me supporting this. It did work out, so it was okay, but this probably wasn't the safest cut in the world to make. Oh, another first, this is actually the first time I'd ever used SketchUp to design anything as well, so trying all the things. Spank that naughty table saw. So that cut looked really awkward when I was making it, and it's one of those things where I've seen videos where, because most of my knowledge has just come from watching other people on YouTube, and I'm not sure whether it's more dangerous to have your body stretched over but safely away from the blade, or whether it's safer to be behind the piece, because I know that kickback's an issue, and I certainly don't want a piece of wood flying back into my, gut or anything, but I didn't feel uncomfortable making any of the cuts, but watching them it looks a little uncomfortable. Excuse the lawnmowers in the background. Yeah, at this point I had not actually calibrated the scale on the rail on the table saw, which eventually here in a minute I actually realize that I'm fed up with and fix it. But There's actually a mistake that I caught there. I actually had that wood way too close to that blade when I turned that on. I wasn't paying enough attention, and it actually kind of just barely nipped the corner of the wood and woke me up a little bit. Made me realize the error of my ways. So that's one of those learning experiences. Luckily, it didn't wind up with anything, including myself, being damaged. Oh, yep, that's where I finally got annoyed by the table saw being out of the guide being out of line with the numbers there on the little tape measure on the rail kit. You know, I have an air compressor in the garage. I don't know why I didn't pick up the little blow-off nozzle and clean things off like that instead of trying to splinter my hands. This is one of those moments where I realized that I really need to make a crosscut sled for my table saw, or I could have just used my sliding compound miter saw, which I don't know why I didn't think of that at the time, but you'll see me kind of dicking around with this, trying to get it to slide without moving off the line I'm trying to cut. Eventually I kind of get it. There was actually a lot more of me messing with out there that I cut out just because, you know, who wants to watch me slide a board back and forth 100 times? But the cut actually did wind up working out okay. But yeah, so A, I really should have just used my miter saw for this, and B, I really do need to make to build myself a crosscut sled for the table. Actually used a plug-in in SketchUp called Cut List to do the cut list, obviously, for the build. The problem I was having with it, and I actually cut out a lot of me screwing around on the laptop because you know, it's pretty easy to cut things when you're just standing still playing with the laptop. But I was doing this on because because I write software that's cross-platform for karaoke for Windows, Mac, and Linux, I have a Mac, a little MacBook Air just to test software on. Well, all of my other machines are running Linux, and of course, SketchUp doesn't really work all that well under Wine under Linux. So I just said, hey, I'll just pull out my MacBook and use it. But there was this weird thing where every time the screen would lock and I'd go back, one of the two Cutlass windows would have disappeared, and I couldn't get it back. Now I could have solved all this by just printing the freaking Cutlass out, but live and learn, I guess. Again. And I just noticed that my shoe is untied. That's got to be safe. Oh yeah, this is where I finally wised up and started actually using my miter saw. It's one of those really cool Bosch ones that has the articulating arm on it instead of the long protrusions in the back. So at some point I'm going to be building a miter station against one of the walls of the garage. And the main reason I wanted this particular saw was because it'll sit in this is a 2-car garage. And so, space is kind of at a premium. I'm trying to make sure everything is mobile and gets out of the way because I'm not willing to give up parking in the garage, especially since I drive a Jeep, as you can see there. And during the nice months of the year, most of the time I've got the top off, and as long as the weather is going to be decent when I'm going to and from places, I don't ever put the top back up. So being able to park in the garage is an awesome thing because then if it suddenly starts raining, who cares? But anyway, yeah. Since that miter saw will sit so close against the wall compared to other models, I figured that'd be good for the small space that I have there. There was actually more there, but my camera battery died and I didn't notice. So, yet again, first time doing this sort of thing. The camera also has an annoying feature where it'll only record for 30 minutes and then it stops. And if I don't notice then, that screws things up too. I'm not sure what I was trying to accomplish by putting both boards there and looking and marking or I was going to mark around both boards, because it didn't make any sense. I eventually realized that and just marked around the board that I was actually the first one, the closest one to the camera, and then cut the other one later. It was like 90 degrees. I was sweating my brains out, so I'll give myself the excuse on that. As I very delicately moved that board over for no real reason. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, idiot. Oh, wait, no, I'm still confused. Okay, yeah, I finally realized that I was being stupid. And here I actually walked out of the camera shot and totally forgot to move the camera. So there's some stuff going on over there that just totally gets missed. But it's just more cutting of things, so, By the way, I do want to give a sincere thanks to all the creators out there who make the woodworking type videos. Well, who make videos on making or doing anything, but particularly for me on this, because I never would have had the confidence to even begin to start doing this stuff without having sat and watched just hours and hours and hours of you guys, doing this stuff. So I had some minor clue what I was doing anyway. I know that I mess up quite a bit here, but you know, I did actually. This does wind up being a successful project. It winds up being something I'm really happy with, and you know, without the other people out there who have spent hours and hours filming and editing and making these videos so that, you know, people have a guide for how this stuff works, I never would have been able to do this. So it is appreciated. Something strange happened here. The saw stop went into like an error mode, but I'm not sure why. It was like I turned it on and the blade started to turn and then immediately stopped and went into an error mode. All I had to do to clear it was just turn the power off and turn it back on again, which, you know, being an IT guy, we do that shit a lot. But I'm not sure what happened there. I really hope the saw's okay. But in no subsequent cuts has it done it again, so I'm hoping it was just a fluke. Really should have had the vacuum hooked up to the miter saw there. The dust collection on it's not perfect, but it does get a lot of it. So, yeah, that was just me being lazy. Oh, and that's where my batteries ended and died again. But anyway, that pretty much was the end of all the cuts and everything. So, hey guys, if you've been with me this long, I really appreciate you sticking around. And you know, future videos with the rest of the project will be forthcoming. It is all already finished. I just have to edit all the video and everything. So, anyway, once again, thanks for watching.